All right, so we are joining round one in progress here after looking through all of the pools. Um, so we got Sawyer, whose draft we watched, running Rasad, which we had speculated, against Oskar, who we saw had a green red with a lot of good rares, Svella and some other things. He's gone with Ambergris as a commander, which is fair. It's a bit more assertive than a Svella. It gets on the board and it starts attacking and starts specializing, um, faster.
They refill your hand.
So he was one of the players who we noted had a pretty scary looking pool, quite a few good rares. So we'll see how that plays out here. Sawyer, as we saw, he committed early to black white. He wasn't without playables, but his power level was a bit lower here. So the Ozlist is an interesting card we didn't get to see. It just wasn't very good in its format. So it looks
No,
like
but I want to see
Rasad.
what it can do
So it
here.
looks
I
like
didn't particularly look at the deck.
so it
Does it
looks.
collect Lucas token? Is it only
Uh,
1/1 counter?
I believe it gets counters of any kind when a creature
Not that
leaves
it
play.
matters. Oh, it's when a creature loses play. So
Yeah,
never
so
mind.
it looks like each commander has died once, from what I can tell. Rasad has
Amber.
definitely died once.
No, Ambergris costs 3 normally. It still costs 3.
I think
Oh,
I
you
thought it
maybe
was
you
in play
can't see
last
that.
turn.
It's costing 3 unless I'm missing something.
Okay, I thought I saw that it was
And
in play, but so the green
right
flag
now,
puts
Oscar has.
counters, I believe, right, equal to the cards you discarded. So that works. That works with Ozolith because it puts counters
That's
on
actually
another
what.
creature.
That's what Oscar is looking at right now. Yeah, I always have to check what your commander actually does
Yeah,
as a
so the
card.
Ozolist works. The Ozolist does not work with non-creatures, but any creature leaving the battlefield with counters, whatever counters they are, +1 or ability counters or any other type of counters that could be found, they do get dumped on the Ozolith, which then puts them back on a creature at the beginning of the next combat.
So we tuned in halfway through the game here, just getting an
Yeah,
idea what's going on.
we're about turn 5 or so.
Both players pretty healthy still.
Yeah, so Sawyer hasn't really taken much. Hasn't He's gained a life actually, and Oscar's taken a few points of damage. Uh, so we see the honor guard trading here with the Targnar. So what is Oscar holding in hand right now?
Yeah, I was just about to say we have Gorgeous George, Hill Giant, Herd Gorger. We have Gaia's Protector and a Planeswalker in Luca,
So Gaia's
which is
Protector
an
was a
interesting
4
card.
mana 4/2 that must be blocked. Was that
That's it from
Dominaria?
Dominaria.
Okay, nothing special.
So we can't play Luca because only one red source, of course, and 4 mana.
Yeah. Also, Luca's not looking that impressive on this current board. It will die when
No,
it comes out. Uh,
the draw was a Kobold the War Caller, not the best turn 4 mana play, but
yeah, I figured he probably just has to play his 4/2. So in
looks right to
Sawyer's
me.
hand, as we see, there's a cast down, and then there's the bushmeat poacher, and he has Rasad in the command zone. So I'm not sure what Oscar's
I do not have
deciding.
time
Doesn't
here.
didn't sound like he had too many choices or good ones at least.
An important game for both players. Oscar has to decide what to do here.
Yeah, yeah, that seemed like the move there. Play the 4/2. So Sawyer's deciding if he's going to cast down this 4/2. He's just going to proceed to his next turn. He could probably play Rasad here and exile the 4/2 if he chooses to. He's going to start by attacking. So the Grim Dancer has lifelink and menace.
Menace.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
seem to
know.
remember you almost always ended up giving it menace as one of the abilities.
We do not know the deck list, but Luca actually involves knowing what cards in your deck and their CMCs. It's minus ability. Exile is a creature you control. Then you reveal cards from the top till something that costs more. So without knowing the deck list, maybe we could speculate, but there's some plays that might be made here that we don't know about.
Yeah, well, the higher mana creature you exile with it, the better, I suppose.
I forget exactly what's in Oscar's list, but I imagine he knows. Herd Gorger's a 6-drop. I don't seem to remember a 7-drop or more.
Don't believe so, but he had some good 4 and 5s. Anyway,
That
so
Shimmer Veil
did he
is
draw
a
something?
green.
Did he draw something useful
We
for
got a
your turn?
forest. We got a
Not
forest.
not especially useful. He can recast his commander, but doesn't seem like he has too much else to do.
No, it's Ambergris and Corbold Warcaller. The only plays possible. Ozolith looking sad when your opponent's got the 2 counters on the creatures.
Yeah. So, like I was mentioning before, you could play a card in your deck that only works with your commander, which Ozolith is most likely gonna fit that description. But if your commander's only ever putting like 2 counters or something, the Ozolith is not going to be that strong. So, well, the 4/2 must be blocked here. So here comes the Bushmeat Poacher. Looks like a trade's going to occur. He's looking
You
at
said cast us, the card in hand?
cast down. So he's reading Notvold Slumber Mound, which can't be activated yet. You need a total of 7 mana, including another red source on top of what he has already. So he's far away from using that Slumber Mound.
I love that cycle of uncommon utility lands. Time.
Yes. That cycle was very strong across the board.
There you go, cast down to keep the Bushmeat Poacher. It's going to get him cards probably in the end. So
Yeah, the 4/2 is annoying enough. He figures Bushmeat Poacher can get him some value. He doesn't want to trade it off for that protector.
well, if the
Oh,
Warcaller comes down, you can potentially play a Hasty Gorger, but it's not even that particularly good here
okay. So
when
this
you're.
is the first time he casts his commander. Then okay.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like Rasad's going to send that right back to the command zone.
That makes it awkward to play something on turn 2. You just gotta take the L.
I mean, when you're exiling your opponent's commander and it goes right back to command zone, the whole downside of the Rasad is like gone pretty much.
True. Yeah.
It's now just a 2/2 that killed a creature essentially. Well, made it cost 2 more the next time.
Yeah, it makes it a lot better than the Viconia we were thinking might play. So that's
Yes.
probably
Yeah,
small.
so unless the opponent has a removal spell in hand, they're just always going to choose for their creature to go back to the command zone, I would imagine. Yeah.
Pop right back.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a removal in hand, sure, you just leave it under the Rasad, but otherwise.
Now let's follow the tracks.
Okay, he probably has to cast that now to get a red land. And then play.
When
Oh,
Ambergris comes back.
okay, he's going for Ambergris here. He's just going to use it to block. Well, he is at 6, yes. So he does have to play that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I neglected to look at the life totals when I was like, he has to go get his red. So his
Menace.
lack of impactful plays has resulted in his life total being extraordinarily low.
Iron Dancer. Strong.
So he's going to turn Rasad into a 4/4 here. And that means he has to chump block with Ambergris and go to 1. And he's facing down a menace creature. So looks like Sawyer's going to pull this one out here. And we'll be going to game 2. So of note, there's not a traditional way to do a best of 3 in Brawl, so they are just going to resend a challenge. And in between games would be where any sideboarding would take place, if they wish to sideboard. I know, for example, Sawyer has a card that he would want to side in against the black deck, the Divine Smite, if he's not running a main deck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that game was just Oskar just couldn't play his impactful cards. Like if he was able to go Luca into Hill Giant Herd Gorger, um, you know,
Yeah, he's one
you're
mana
look,
off
you're look,
loot.
you're looking at a different game here. So the mana troubles got him. Like I was saying before about mana bases, like limited mana bases are bad, and it just gets worse when 60 cards. So any piece of fixing you can find is just so important.
We didn't see the early turns where Shimmer Veil came down as a green land, But even having Luca on that board doesn't do much. You need creatures on your board for.
Right, so he does have a Divine Arrow that he has access to, which I'm surprised he's not playing in his main deck. It's a good cheap interactive card. Um, he's thinking about siding that in here. Again, we can't see his sideboard because there is no sideboard option in Brawl. So I'm sure he has his list open on Sealed Deck or wherever, and he's able to figure out what he might want here. Speakeasy Server being one that he pulled up, and Divine Arrow as well.
I guess let's take a look at this curve for Luca purposes. We have 2 7-drops with the Verdant thing and the Hill. 6 drops with the Hillgorger and the Verdant.
The Verdant's an 8-drop.
It's an 8-drop. Sorry, it was.
I believe
2 over 5 drops.
5 and 3 green.
Was that the one that creates a Saproling every? Oh yeah, it's a Verdant Force. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1/1
so that
each upkeep. So like every turn cycle, you get 2 of them.
So your Hillgorger turns exactly into that, and 5 drops or more is either one.
So it looks like he's putting a bit more cheap interaction here. Maybe a slightly larger creature than he had with the Veteran Dungeoneer. Maybe taking out some of the early plays that don't seem as impactful. He's still got a few cards to side out here, so we'll see what direction he goes.
Prasad being a 3-drop, it's kind of awkward if you just have a 2-drop and you're like, my opponent's just going to play their commander and remove this.
Yep, it is an irritant for sure.
You really want to remove it. You want to have that removal.
Okay, so Dig Up the Body looks to be coming out. Let's see what else. The Jarl of the Forsaken. And he's brought in like Revelation of Power, Speakeasy Server, Veteran Dungeoneer, Divine Arrow. So let's see what else he decides to take out here. I will say Sawyer is he's very aware of these little edges. So sideboarding, for some people they just say, okay, maybe one card here, one card there, but he's really taking his time. He's being methodical. He's figuring out what he wants to have on the draw, especially after what he saw in game 1. He took out the short sword here. He figures, if he's trying to battle sizes, he can't really win the battle of sizes. So a short sword's not going to help him. Since the green creatures are going to be larger, so he's better to have interaction than try and make your creature a little bit bigger against a deck that's going to have large creatures.
Would you play Ambergris or Svella as your commander in this deck for what we saw with Oskar?
Yeah,
it's tough. They're both getting removed by Rasad.
Ambergris is a lot more assertive, I would say. Svella is, it's a slower card, but it's a 2/4, so it's a good blocker. But against, this is just such an irritating commander to play against because, your commander is just going to get eaten the first time, or whatever you play on turn 2, it's just going to get eaten.
Opening hand's got Briggy and Svella here for Oskar, but only green mana.
Sounds like a mulligan. Of note, we do get free mulligans here, so. The first mulligan is going to be to 7. So Sawyer's got a hand with 1-drop and a 2-drop and 2 3-drops and 3 lands. So he's keeping.
This is a slow hand that Oskar has, but it has a Druid of Emerald Grove, which can ramp you and grab any lands out of it.
Sawyer's going to be ahead on board by that time, though. I think, because he has.
There's a Luca and an Owlbear hunt to follow up.
Okay, so he's got some power there. So the Shambling Gas is holding the Knoll Hunter at bay. He has a choice between a Guildsworn Prowler or a Citizen's Crowbar here. I don't think we saw the Ozolith as like a target for the Citizen's Crowbar, but it didn't do anything. So
nope, not last time.
We didn't see any supremely desirable targets for a Citizen's Crowbar to kill.
Oh, speaking of the Ozolith, that's the draw. But looks like Ambergris is the play, though.
Yeah,
it's only that or Ozolith.
Well, Ambergris it trades for a Shambling Gas, right?
It's that or pass turn and play Ozolith.
Yeah, so in that case, you play Ambergris, but yeah, this Rasad is very very hard to play against here.
So the 1 drop, 2 drop, really good.
Yeah, so he can't even attack with the Ambergris. He just plays a 3/2 that essentially doesn't have words on it really, for the time being.
Removes opponent's ETB.
So let's see what Sawyer decides to do. He can play his commander. He can play Rafine Silencer. He can play the Goldmaw champion, the creature with boast that can tap a creature. Well, looks like he's offering a citizen token here.
Yeah, 1/1. Very important draw step coming up because there's no land in hand. Druid of Emerald Grove will definitely get you there. But besides that, there's nothing happening for
Yeah,
Oscar.
so of note, Sawyer has no lands in his hand, but all of his cards cost 3 or less, so everything in his hand is castable.
Oh boy.
So Silencer comes down, does not draw a land, uh, which means it's going to be a 2/2. He's going to discard probably the Spontaneous Flight, which is the flying trick. Oh, he's decided the Goldmaw champion. He just doesn't have the mana to use it. That makes sense. The Spontaneous
Well,
Flight can be good to get in some surprise damage.
draw is mountain, so it's great news for Oscar. Not
Okay,
falling behind.
so it means he gets to at least keep putting stuff in play. Yep. So here he's going to get his lands. He's going to be able to play his stuff out.
We get to see a dice roll in the Mega Draft.
Well, so the cards have gone into his hand rather than one in play and one in hand. So he hasn't
And
rammed,
that's
but he's got his next 2 land drops in hand.
there's pretty big synergy here. Luca Exile gets a 5 drop or more. The Grove, you can high roll, or you might just play Arrow Bear.
Yeah,
It's because the 4 mana 2/2 has a good ETB, so of course its stats are not what you want on the board.
yeah, but that was a good spot to play it in. So Sawyer here is not drawing lands. Again, he's able to cast everything. It's just um, he's not going to be able to double spell for a while here.
If you plus Luca, it
I believe,
exiles cards from the top, 3 from the top that you can play till next turn.
yeah,
Creatures from the
things are creatures, right?
Yeah, so it's not amazing. Especially not amazing when you're a 40 card deck, but here for
I mean,
60.
I mean, planeswalkers are strong. I remember that one being like closer to the fair side than a lot of the more crazy ones we've seen in the past.
Yeah. We might see the owlbear come down though to protect it a bit better for afterwards.
Yeah, so we got a
Ooh,
Grim
there it
Dancer
is.
here, which is going to gain Menace and probably Death Touch here. Okay, he's
I
gone
did not
for
mention there is an
okay,
answer to
so
that
he's
fire
gone for
intervention.
so he's gone for Death Touch Lifelink here. So not too concerned about the Menace. So Oscar can choose here between his Luca and the Owlbear. He's just going to go for the Planeswalker right away.
I'm gonna 2/2 get out of here. You can get a verdant whatchamacallit.
So he's just gonna trade in his 4 drop for a Hill Giant Herd Gorger. So Sawyer can kill this Luca. He has a spontaneous flight, which gives +2/+2 and a flying counter on a creature. So the Luca is dead if he wants it to be. He could also just exile the one of the creatures with Rasad and also kill the Planeswalker.
There is a
That's
fire intervention in hand, so that is the way it can go a little wrong with the
Yeah.
commander.
Unfortunately, he played this Planeswalker into an onboard. Like Rasad is just there, able to kill this Planeswalker immediately.
So besides the give a flying counter thing, what else is in the hand?
He has a bunch of 2 drop and 3 drop creatures. So
Good
Mesa
deck building.
Unicorn, Vampire Spawn, Knight of Malice, Killed Scorn Power. I saw he was running 25 lands, which is normal. So it's not like he had a lower land count here. He's just not hitting his lands, but he has stuff to do. Like I said, this Luca is dead if he wants it to be, which he probably does. Yeah, gets rid of the Hill Giant. He can throw everything at the Planeswalker, and it will be dead. So, Ambergris likely to trade for the Grim Dancer here, just to get it off the board, and then Luca will be dead. But Sawyer will have 3 creatures in play to Oscar's 0. Though the owlbear looks like it could stop the attacks.
The draw on the last turn was actually Owlbear Shepherd to go along with this Owlbear. Not doing
Okay.
much now, but that Gorger might come back if we ever fire intervention or find some other.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so
What does fire?
this all made a lot of sense. Fire intervention is 5 damage to a creature or it kills an artifact.
In fact, okay.
I believe it is the same text as Ready to Rumble from Capenna.
We have found some Ozolith synergy with Ivy Elemental here.
Yeah, I'm still not loving the Ozolith, but with Ambergris as the commander, it's excusable. All right, so he's just opted to get his Herd Gorger back here and just have this big creature gain some more life, and
Is it a land?
no, Sawyer is still he's drawn another 3 drop. So again, he can deploy all of his things eventually, but he is going to fall behind once if Oskar starts being able to make two plays a turn. But he's down to 3 cards in hand, Oskar. So
the Owlbear Shepherd will take care of the Hill Giant will take care of Owlbear Shepherd's condition next turn if he wants to play that and not Owlbear itself.
Hill Gorger gives you seven of the 8 power required. He's just going to play the Death Touch here as a blocker. Doesn't want
No
to get
land
attacked for
means
7.
Hill Giant's staying on the board for a while. So yeah, Ivy Elemental Owlbear.
Oskar could just play his Owlbear here and just sort of hang out and start drawing cards here, and then recast Ambergris at some point.
Yeah, I feel like the Owlbear Shepherd's probably coming down, but you can also the only other play you have besides from that 3 mana card is Ivy Elemental, which is a green and X.
So if he wants, he could just play Ivy Elemental as a 3/3 here, which I don't think is a terrible play.
He's got Ozolith synergy, which can get blown up.
It works with the Ozolith. So those 3 counters will just.
It'll probably get blown up though. But.
Those 3 counters will just go on something else if the Ivy Elemental dies. So yeah, so Sawyer can kill Ozolith, but I don't think he can use his mana for that. He's drawn a Deadweight here, which doesn't kill any of the opposing creatures right now. It is good against Ambergris, but not against a board of 3 and higher toughness.
Deadweight. Not looking good on this board. You can kill your own Rafine Silencer post-combat.
Yeah, this was what I was maybe a little bit concerned about with Sawyer's deck. It's like he has a bunch of 2 and 3 drops, sure, but once opponent stabilizes and plays some big stuff, he doesn't have all that much removal. So, he might have a hard time getting through this board here. Especially with and the mana troubles are not helping either, obviously. But he is able to cast things like he'll be able to cast things for the next 5 turns. They just might not be as impactful as what Oscar's able to do with a card draw engine here and lots of mana.
You might be seeing green Ambergris, which is
it puts counters equal to the number of cards discarded on another target creature.
Look at that synergy.
Yep. Well, that's what I said. It works. Ambergris works with Ozolith, which is a reason to put it in your deck. Yeah, so this is kind of a free attack here with the Ivy Elemental because the counters just go back on the Ozolith, which then put them on whatever creature you want next turn. So he doesn't care if this dies.
But he has the ability to blow it up, as I was saying, with the crowbar.
Yeah, but he has to use his whole turn and equip and tap a creature.
Yeah.
It's like not all what he. I don't think he has.
And you only have that one window, right? That 1 turn window.
I'm not sure he has time to kill the Ozolith. I think he just has to cast stuff. We'll see. Yeah, Owlbear with counters. I mean, Owlbear with counters on it is a good amount of damage.
Well, it's mana flood time here for Oskar, but now he has a Mayhem Patrol at end step.
He found a land in a very roundabout way with the loyal War Dog here. That 3/1 that can go find a land. Though he's highlighting Crowbar, which means he might be considering using it
You
here.
got to do it now, or they're staying on a creature. And owlbear once owlbear at that trample. You're at 28 health though.
Yeah, is Ozolith that scary? That's the question he has to ask himself. Because he has a play here in the War Dog or Warhound. It does get him his land. But I can't recall if it brings it into play untapped or tapped, which does change things here.
Warhound. I'll look it up. I'm actually not familiar.
Yeah, it's if you have
Oh,
less lands, you could tutor a basic plains into play.
yeah, it's a rare. I see.
Yeah, so he has decided to just kill
No
the
fun.
Ozolith here before he can get value.
Saproling kills the Ozolith.
Yeah, so he's decided to throw a crowbar
Smashed
at
it.
the Ozolith and smash it
No,
to
I didn't
bits.
throw it. He smashed it. He smashed it all up.
And so Ambergris is back. What's in his hand? Does he want
The
to discard his hand
the
yet?
hand is two drops and a mountain.
Sounds like he could flip it to green here. Um, he'll be able to put 3 counters on something. Yeah, that's a pretty
That's
poor
pretty
two.
low.
Yeah, the 2 drop he discarded is a pretty poor card. So
Yeah.
Milanoir Scout.
The two we got a Prosperous Innkeeper and a Gaia's Protector as the two draws.
He might just
Nothing too
he might just
impactful.
hold on to those to use them again next turn. Honestly, so
Yeah.
the Prowler is going to get in front of the Owlbear here. It's not gonna. It's only going to soak up 1 damage, but it gets it off the board. Now he's
Ooh, that killed
blocking the
Ambergris,
Shambling
right?
Ghast. Yeah. So double blocking the Shambling Ghast there is a bit of a risk if depends on what Oscar's settings are. If he has auto assigned combat damage on or off, he
Oh
can
yeah.
he can actually keep his Gorger alive. Okay, so he's gonna chunk block with the Rafine Silencer, and he's gonna kill off the Ambergris with the trigger with the Silencer trigger here.
Still gonna get an end step draw because Hillgorger and Owlbear Shepherd work well together.
Yeah. So the Owlbear and the Ambergris are gonna die, but he'll still have the 7/6 and his card draw engine. While Sawyer is just stuck, only being able to cast 2 drops or whatever. So he does get a treasure here, which is something, but this game is not over by any means. Like Sawyer again, if he can find some lands here, he's going to be able to commit stuff to the board. Though the 7/6, nothing that he has in his hand really fights against the 7/6 very profitably.
Yeah, the
So
three
he's
creatures we just saw die for Sawyer really kept back of a whole bunch for a while.
yeah, so he's either going to be taking 7 or throwing things in front of the herd gorger for the next couple turns.
I was wondering if you should unspecialize this Ambergris and choose not to.
No. The Ambergris is one of the ones you don't want to unspecialize because it doesn't actually do anything when it specializes.
Yeah, it's true. It
It,
just lets you discard a card. That's all.
yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like in the leagues having seen cards like there are commanders where you always want to put them back on the front side.
Yeah, that's all.
Clement as well.
So you get the hexproof.
Yeah, Clement as well for the trigger. But in this case, Ambergris, which I know Johnny played to a strong finish, just outside of the top 8, but he was playing the red-white version, which pumps the whole team. And
There are some complicated turns of that when you have card draw
yeah,
spells too.
yeah, and
Card discard.
you never wanted to. Never would want to specialize it back into the original side. You just want the back side. So that is one advantage to Ambergris is that you can just choose to leave it on the backside, and the backside has haste as well. So you can just
Draw the force.
as
We have
soon as you have the mana and the chance, you can replay it and start having it work its magic all over again. Yeah, in comes the 7/6. He's either going to take 7 or throw something under the bus here. So
the hand. The hand is not getting played. This Prosperous Innkeeper is still there. Usually play that one first.
Gaia's Protector does not seem good against a first strike creature, but Maybe he has some plans here to put counters on it with Ambergris. All right, so
Okay,
Sawyer's
the idea
getting
was
his lands now.
the idea was to keep Prosperous Innkeeper as a discard, I guess, and makes some sense. And we got Targnar as well in the hand now.
Yeah, well, the more you discard, the more counters you get to put on stuff.
Yeah.
So the guy's protector, again, at first sight, looks pretty poor here against the first striker, but it can get a couple counters and be a bit more frightening here. Force a 2-for-1 trade. So he's deciding if he wants to use the Rasad here to get rid of something. So he can play Rasad and then he can deadweight one of these smaller creatures.
Gonna be pretty good because there's no removal coming.
Yeah, so he can get this Herd Gorger off the board, and then he can deadweight the 4-2 or the 3-1 as he sees fit. So it looks like he's taking away the card draw here, rather than the threat. He figures he just has enough dumb little creatures to put in front of the 7/6. He's more afraid of the card draw engine here.
Not a great draw here at the mountain.
No, it's more fodder for Ambergris at the very least.
Yeah. In the bin.
The unfortunate thing about Ambergris is as a 4/3, it doesn't pump itself, so it just dies to the first strike knight.
So does the Gaia's Protector. But that's going to get
the
blocked.
Gaia's Protector can get counters on it. So interestingly, Sawyer decided not to deadweight either of the creatures here. Just, I guess, feeling like they weren't threatening enough at this time.
True.
But that Gaia's Protector could end up being scary if it gets counters. So Ambergris is coming down for 8 mana.
Chooses not to Targnar as well. Could have played a land with Targnar.
Yeah, so he's throwing his Ambergris away here, but he is going to be able to put some counters. So let's see what would he discard. So Prosperous Innkeeper, Targnar, and 2 lands. He does get to throw 4 counters on this thing that has to be blocked here. So now, basically, there's 2 creatures that have to be blocked, because the 7/6 is getting into that territory as well, right?
I'd imagine Oskar wanted to find some removal, but we got a Kobold War-Caller and Marwyn.
Well,
not
the good
sure
thing is
how
he can
much
just throw them away next turn if he draws a land.
Yep.
To recast Ambergris. So Ambergris is going to get eaten here by the knight, but Sawyer is going to go down to 5 here. And again, the 8/6 says on it must be blocked, and the 7/6 starting next turn also has to be blocked.
Yeah. So he did throw away a land. Not throwing away a land would have guaranteed being able to play Ambergris next turn. We'll see if he gets punished for that.
That might have been the wise choice, just because, it's on board that Ambergris can die to a first strike here. So when Sawyer untaps, he has a spontaneous flight, which doesn't appear to be very useful here. It's a +2/+2 until end of turn, and the creature gets a flying counter. He has a vampire spawn and a Mesa Unicorn as some sources to gain life here. They don't match up well against what's on the other side, but they at least give him a few more life points to work with here as he's trying to stay alive against these giant monsters.
The Owlbear Shepherd made a huge difference this game. It's all thanks to that constant card draw.
Yeah,
now that Sawyer's found the lands.
Extra stuff he needed to do. Yeah.
Sawyer found the lands now with that control-y.
He has a swamp.
Yeah.
We'll see what he decides to do here. He's facing down creatures that he cannot block profitably and has to block. So let's see how he plays out this turn here.
Usually a bad situation.
Yeah, so he's not going to die, next turn, but he needs to set himself up here to do more than survive.
The Marwyn's in the deck. It's a bit of a weird include, but if you pump her, she gives you a ton of mana, and there's tons of ways to pump, it seems.
Yeah, well, it's a mana dork on its own, which is it's a 3 mana 1/1 mana dork, but Ambergris can put counters on it, so you can give it more mana depending on
Even
what
the
kind of.
Otolith, I guess.
If you can
You
use
gotta use the
stuff,
mana.
I mean, if you can use the mana, great. If not, it's not that interesting. But ramp is fine. It's just like not very impressive ramp. He does have a couple of elves I saw. At least there was the Llanowar Scout, I believe. That's an elf,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, elves do show up in various sets, so that is something that in a mega draft, you'll probably be able to find a few elves. Yeah, so Sawyer's just deciding what's the best way to approach this bad situation that he's in. Uh, Again, he has the option of just casting out his creatures and just using them as jump blockers. Um, he could specialize the Rasad. I'm not sure if that doesn't really give him better blocks. Like a 4/4, having one 4/4 in play is maybe probably worse than just him playing out a couple creatures that together have 4 power.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a player who will take his time in these situations. Um, consider everything, consider every option. Do not and doesn't rush to a conclusion. And
It's a good way to lose
again,
Magic games.
that's got him great success in the league. So,
Rushing
so
to conclusions is not usually a good idea.
okay, so he's decided to specialize here. This spontaneous flight is not going to do anything. So he gives that 4/4. So when or if it has to die by blocking, the Owlbear Shepherd is not a card draw engine anymore. So he's decided that's his best course of action here.
+2 life. Mesa Unicorn.
Yeah, Mesa Unicorn. He could have played the Vampire Spawn, but he's just gonna play the Deadweight here using his treasure. Well, that 3/1 is not that threatening because he has a first striker and a 4/4. Still annoying enough. He even gets to attack with his vigilant dog here.
Well, top deck is a mountain, so that's good news. Ambergris can get. Oh no, it's already playable. I know what I'm saying.
Ambergris costs, I believe, 10 now.
Not. It says 9 on here.
Oh, he put it back to the front side.
Yeah. Oh, that explains a lot. Yeah, that's what
Huh.
happened.
Wonder why. The red side just it deals X damage, right? It deals X
That's
damage to
to
opponent equal
opponents.
to discarded.
That and that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe he feels his best bet is to deal damage through the Ambergris triggers.
But you can't pay for the special lives at this point.
So he's recasting it. Next turn he could specialize and deal 3. It's not that good.
You would do it after combat, probably. What's his? Like you don't want to sacrifice your Ambergris and not specialize it unless
No,
unless you're doing
he's going here.
it. That's an okay play too. So his idea wasn't to use the red side
He decided
next
not
turn.
to discard his hand then. So he decided to keep
But
his
no, I
hand
guess
rather than discard it. Okay, so he's putting 2 creatures in front of the 8/6. He's throwing his unicorn away here. Oh no, he's double blocking. Okay, he's double blocking the Hail Giant Hurt Gorge. He wants that off the board. Ambergris is gonna stay in play here, but looks like everything else is gonna die.
Vampire Spawn's gonna get him to 9 health.
Well, he's taking 3 from Ambergris here.
Yeah, so 6 health.
Unless he's may block differently. We'll see. I think he's best served like getting both of the big creatures off the board here and potentially leaving Ambergris, but he's gonna he's gonna chump the Hill Giant Herd Gorger and keep his first strike knight alive. So to take effectively, he won't take damage this turn. He'll gain 2 life.
There's gonna be an end step card draw because of.
Well, the Albert Shepherd has lost its abilities, right?
Oh yeah, true. You don't have to do any. What am I saying?
So I
It's
believe
still
it's
white,
just. I
but it's
believe
been
it's just. I
specialized.
believe it's just a 1/1 with no text now.
Yeah. See if that matters.
It's interesting how he put Ambergris on the front side to guarantee that he could recast it this turn. But I'm a bit surprised he didn't leave it on the backside. But I guess with the option of specializing it to the red side to deal damage directly, uh, that possibility was more appealing. But now he needs two more mana to recast it.
Yeah, he's playing the war color. Can give something haste next turn, which could be relevant.
Yes. Okay. So
Merwin's the option right now,
all right. So
but
he's has to play the
it's,
Rasad here to get this 7/6 out of his life.
well, not bad at all.
Yeah. So next turn he can go. He can play Vampire Spawn and he can mutate his Cavern Whisper that he just drew.
Okay, draws Bergie. The back of Bergie says discard a card on it.
Yeah, that's just good for finding more stuff to do. I would imagine would want to cast the horn.
Oh
Giving
boy,
anything with three
Kobold.
toughness, any creature with three toughness is not very interesting here against the first strike knight.
Bergie plus Averages. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, well the horn discards as
No,
well, so yeah, the horn
yeah.
is good.
War color's not going to give anything haste. Ooh. Oh wow.
Wingspan Dragon, that that seems good.
I was going to say the war color's not giving anything haste if it's an exile.
Yeah, that's a surprise. I'm sure that's an unpleasant surprise for Sawyer. So okay, so Sawyer can go up to 5 here to not be dead to it, but other than that, it's looking thin here. He has a Cavern Whisper, which actually doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't discard anything from opponent's hand because they don't have anything. Yeah, so this rare into mythic is a good way to try and close out a game, right? Like play your
That
rare and
treasure,
use it to find your mythic. Pretty good.
treasure taps for 2. I'm just trying to do the math here. This gold
Uh,
span dragon's just going to kill him.
yeah, the treasures go for 2. That's right. Yeah, I think he's just hard. He's just gonna hard cast this Cavern Whisper. No sense mutating it because the opponent doesn't have a card in hand to discard. He just needs all the bodies possible.
Real Scare Mentor gives a menace counter on a non-human.
Menace counter on a non-human, but it itself doesn't have menace or anything,
No. It's such a weird situation.
so maybe not that useful. Maybe
Do you
something.
activate the horn? That's the question. Does he
I
have 1 damage in hand?
I
In deck.
I imagine you want to use the horn here, right? I mean, he has a 2-turn clock, right? And Sawyer's top decking here.
The Ambergris.
So okay, so those cards are revealed here. One's a gate, and the other is a fight spell. I think it cycles, but he can
Go
only
for blood.
cast it. He can only cast it
Yeah, you
as
can't
he can
cycle
only
it.
cast it. Yeah, he can't cycle it.
I think you.
But if he uses it on the dragon, he gets more treasure, right? Yeah, which is good for Ambergris here. He can play Ambergris and just attack everything.
That's right.
That's lethal
Took away a blocker.
because 5 will get in here. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, so well navigated there by Oskar. Sawyer just his mana troubles just got him too far behind there. By the time he was casting 2 spells a turn, Oskar was drawing 2 cards a turn. So
Yeah. The bad news is that's game 2 only,
yes,
right?
that's game 2. So we're gonna get a game 3 here. Exciting conclusion. Looks like these decks are pretty closely matched here. I mean, Rasad in general is a difficult commander to play against. So but I think they're pretty evenly matched. Despite my adoration of Svella, you know ultimately, I think Ambergris is more correct, just because it's assertive and it actually gets things going offense wise.
Isn't that insane with Vergie's horn? Because you just discard your entire hand.
Well, you don't. Well, the horn, the cards that you exile can't be discarded to the horn, right? So you can't just chain. You can't just chain cards.
I guess it's just a bit of reach if you're turning to red. You can hit him for a 10 to the face.
So on the play here, it looks like Sawyer's at least considering bringing in some cheaper creatures just to maybe try and get on board quicker. Here, like he's brought up his dungeon crawler as a potential include the 1 mana 2/1, but doesn't look like he's made. He's bringing that in. He's just gonna send back the deck.
Oscar's looking a long look at Svella here. I think I know what that might mean. Really reading Svella.
It has a lot of words, and all of them are good. But like I said, I think ultimately in this type of format, Ambergris is just it just does a bit more, and it does it sooner.
Oh, it's Ambergris.
Yeah,
Just looked at it.
I mean he's still playing Svella in his deck, so
yeah,
that's still good.
No, there was definitely a thought that he's going to switch it. I would have rooted for it.
Yeah,
just to see it happen.
Like I said, I think Ambergris is the right call here, despite my preferences. I still think he's making the right call.
Oscar's looking at a mono green hand with 3 forests. Only green cards and 3 forests.
Well, if they're cards he can cast early in the game, it's a keep, but otherwise it's not.
2 5-drops and an 8-drop, and a struggle for Skimfar.
So looks like a mulligan then.
Yep. And what does Sawyer have?
Yeah, so as we can see, Sawyer has a Citizen's Crowbar, the Knight of Malice. He has the Speakeasy Server, which is the 5-mana bird that gains life for the creatures you have in play, and then he has 4 lands. So he has stuff to do early. He has his Rasad whenever he wants it, and he has a 5-drop flyer. Looked like Oscar's deck was pretty weak to flyers. Didn't seem to have reach creatures. He had the Goldspan Dragon as a flyer, but other than that, I didn't see anything that really interacted with flying creatures. Usually green has access to those, but we didn't see them.
Well, Svella is in the opener, but we know what happens to early drops against Rasad.
Yeah. I don't want Svella to get frozen out of this game.
There is a Mayhem Patrol. Probably not. And a Targnar. We'll see if that attracts the attention.
Yeah. So he has the choice between, you said, Mayhem Patrol or Targnar here.
Yep.
Probably just get the Targnar into play. Mayhem Patrol has Blitz, so could potentially blitz it in at some point.
You deflect from Svella. Is there an answer to Svella? I know you just said his cards, but
yeah, he doesn't have any removal in hand. As we saw, his deck is a little light on removal overall.
Yeah.
I think Rasad is carrying a heavy load in this deck. Rasad is doing a lot of the hard work. He's going to be relying on it to interact with opponents' creatures all the time. Okay, so he's going for the Benelish Honor Guard here rather than a Citizen's Crowbar. Maybe doesn't want to show that he has the Crowbar. Wait to play it later.
Look at this.
Again, that Honor Guard will always be a 3/2 when you're with your commander in play. Still not a great card, but a curve filler.
Compelled Duel here, but the card you want off the field is not the one that can block here.
Well, Compelled Duel makes a creature block, right?
Yeah.
But his creature has one menace, so the Compelled Duel doesn't do anything.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. Eventually, Rasad would.
It's just a really slow giant growth. It's just
lousy menace.
Sorcery giant growth in that case. All right, so Sawyer, he could play his Deathbloom Thallid. He could play his Rasad. If he plays Rasad, he gets to attack in for 6, which is a lot. That might be the play here. We'll see what he decides to do.
There's a Boots of Speed in hand, which wasn't played because a card named Heightened Reflexes is in hand. Do you know what that does? Test your trivia.
Heightened reflex, +1/+0, and it gets a first strike counter, I'm guessing.
You win. You got it. So that's the
Yep.
card he's leaving up here instead of playing Boots of Speed.
So Boots of Speed is it's 1 mana to equip, +1/+0 haste, I
I
believe.
believe so. Very pushed. It's like the Glass Slipper, I think, but is it better?
Glass Slipper was like 2 to play, I believe.
Yeah, it's even better than that.
I don't remember either being that good, but haste is always like potentially scary. I would say that it's scary with the commander, but his commander already has haste, so
Oh,
because I know
sorry,
like
Crystal Slipper.
I know in regular commander one of the scariest things is like the Swiftfoot boots and lightning greaves that give haste and either shroud or hexproof. So
Oh yeah, Shroud.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, especially well in commander you have commanders that have attack triggers, so you just get haste right away. But yeah, we'll see if it plays out, if it has an impact in this game. So I guess he's
Very
gonna
interesting.
okay. So he's gonna trade. He's gonna 2-for-1 himself here, unfortunately.
There's something a little interesting. You could have used First Strike to kill Vanalish, and then it actually unbuffs the Met Knight. Not that it just saves 1 damage, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know about the 2-for-1 there. Um, we'll see what he has to follow up with here, but
It's Vela. It's pretty much all.
okay. Well, Svella is likely to get eaten by Rasad. I think that is. I think it's scary enough.
The bright side is compelled duel here. If it's just Rasad coming
What's
down and a full swing,
what's funny is that he drew a cast down here, which cannot kill this fella as it were.
is there a follow up 2-drop here? It's going to be really important,
Yeah,
actually.
he has a Citizen's Crowbar.
Ooh, that means compelled duel won't kill off Rasad. Oh wait, double block? Does that work? Sorry, it's a menace creature, so it has to be. Never mind, I'm
If a
wrong.
menace creature must be blocked, as long as there's 2 legal blockers, both of them will
Wow,
block.
wow, wow,
So
wow. That's actually amazing. I
he gets
said
to
the
get his
exact
fella back.
opposite of what's true.
Okay, so he's a bit stuck on lands here, Oscar, but he's making do here.
Yeah, so I said the exact opposite. It's amazing for Oscar that that 2-drop was played because now it got blocked. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, he
Full
can't
turn.
recast his Rasad straight away here.
Hmm.
So his draw for turn was a Thieves' Tool, so not supremely useful. But he does get to put his opponent down to 8 here, um, which is a low number. And he has a flyer coming down as well, which can, even if Oscar stabilizes with what's in play, there's a 3 power flyer coming down.
Well, there is a fiery intervention in hand, not castable now.
Okay. So so he's drawing a Viconia, which is interesting, but he probably just wants to get his bird down so he can start attacking again. The Speakeasy Server. Yeah, so he has Speakeasy Server, a Cast Down, a Viconia, and Thieves' Tools.
Looking pretty good for.
If he plays Viconia, his Benelish Honor Guard will get another pump. I don't know if that's if that matters all that much, but it's a thing that will occur.
Well, looking at the life total, you said he has a Thieves' Tool. It's not looking great.
Yeah, so I was thinking he could just play the bird here, but he's going to cast down this Death Touch creature and then potentially. He's equipping his Rasad so it'll survive combat, and he'll just throw all of his creatures here and deal 6.
Yeah. By not looking great, I meant for Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm impartial.
Yeah, so now Oscar's facing down 2 lethal creatures.
Look at 4 lands here. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, so it looks like Sawyer's on the verge of a round 1 victory here. Let's see. Ambergris is coming into play. I guess he could dump his
In
hand.
the wheel.
I don't know what he can find for 1 mana because he already played. No, he didn't play a land yet. Yeah,
No, he didn't. But we
I'm
got
not sure what
struggle for
all. I'm
Skim.
not sure what all he can find for in 2 cards there. But
He found the ability to struggle for Simsar, Skimfar,
yeah.
Foretell. That's all.
All right. So we saw mana troubles in both of those games there. Ultimately impact the players, and Sawyer wins the first round. So we'll be back shortly with round 2.